Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode here on Big Van Small World. Now today I'm going to be working once again on my Mercedes Vario campervan conversion. I'm going to install the shore power, or what's commonly known as electric hookup. So if ever I do go to a campsite and they have electric hookup available, I can simply plug in and charge my huge array of batteries inside my van. By doing that, it means I can keep things really simple and really safe. I'm simply going to connect up an RCD unit like this one, and these are primarily used for like outhouses or sheds in a domestic situation, but a lot of people use these in their self-built conversions, and I'm going to do exactly that. So I'll just quickly briefly explain what these actually do. They act like a fuse board, so if I do have a short inside my van whilst I'm plugged into shore power, say my calorifier heater goes bad, this will simply trip off, just like a fuse blowing really, and it will prevent any damage not only to the shore power cable but also to my van. Hopefully it'll prevent any fire occurring. That's the main thing anyway. But like I say, I'm not a qualified electrician, so if you do this to your camper van, then please do get it checked out by a qualified electrician before you go plugging it in. Right, let's get some work done. Now I have already fitted the external plug socket here, as you can see. It's a nice little neat installation, and the reason I put it here is because there was actually a really nasty stone chip right here. So rather than repair that stone chip, I simply cut it out and put my plug socket there. Right, now let's sort out where the RCD unit is going to go. Like I say, it is going to go here, and I'd really like there to be no wires showing. So what I'm going to do is actually take this apart, drill a hole through the back of it so I can mount it there and have the wire coming directly from outside into the back of this. That is pretty much the entirety of my 240 volt in this van. That is all I'm doing. These three cables are going to have plugs on them, and an RCD and two plug sockets. That is it. Nice and simple, nice and safe. Cup of tea time. God, it is freezing out there. Now don't worry, today's video there's going to be no cooking, because I know some of you don't really appreciate my culinary skills, but one of the things I did when I very first got here this morning was to light my cubic mini wood stove, and about an hour ago or so I put a Cornish pasty on top, so it should be nice and warm now. So that is going to be my lunch today. Hopefully it's nice and hot. A little bit too hot. That won't burn. Yeah, that's alright. It's not quite burnt. Anyway, I'm going to sit here, have a cup of coffee, enjoy my Cornish pasty, and then start on the 12 volts, or the 12 volt side of my electrical system in my Mercedes Vario Campervan conversion. I'll see you in a bit. Let's prick this open. Oh yes, look at that. It's literally been on there a good hour. Yeah, that's warmed right through. Cubic mini wood stove for the win. Well, I'm actually a couple of hours in now, connecting all these wires up, running these cables, connecting all my batteries together. I've got 4 110 amp hour AGM batteries in my battery bank down here. I'm also using a power station, and I'm going to try, and this is completely experimental, to connect the power station up to these batteries and use them side by side. Not seen anyone else do this before. I could be wrong, maybe lots of people do this, but I've only just come up with this realisation that filming it is completely impossible. So I'm going to crack on, get it all connected up, and then tomorrow morning when it's a little bit brighter in here, because it's getting dark, I shall run through what I've actually done. Rather than try and explain it, I will show you, if that makes sense. Right, so I'm going to carry on connecting all this up. Hopefully tomorrow I can finish filming this and show you what I've done and how I've done it. I'll see you then. So here we have it. These are my 4 batteries. They're 110 amp hour each, which gives me 220 amp hours of usable power. Now I've wired them up in parallel, which means all my negatives are connected together and all my positives along the back there are connected together. I've connected all the positive connections to the positive terminal on this battery, and all the negative connections, or 2 of them, on this terminal on this battery, which means when I draw or add power to this battery bank, it's done equally across all 4 batteries. Now you'll notice I've only got 2 positive wires connected to this battery bank. That's because that's all I need. This thicker cable goes to my pure sine wave inverter that will in turn run my domestic fridge that I'm fitting in this van. This smaller cable goes to the MPPT charge controller, and that charge controller charges these batteries, and it also draws power from them when power is needed. That's why I only need 1 cable coming in. I've got this breaker here which acts as a fuse, and it also gives me the means to turn things on and off. That's the first time I've turned it on actually. I've not tried it yet. So we'll leave that on, and then we'll go and take a look at the MPPT charge controller, and I'll show you what's going on. But there you go, nice and neat, nice and simple. Okay, here we go. Let's try and explain this as best I possibly can. It's going to sound complicated, but believe me, it is really simple. So this is the heart of my electrical system, this power bank. But let's get back to the 12 volt side of things first. So my batteries are powered and charged and controlled by this smart solar charge controller. Now this has got a Bluetooth capabilities, which means I've got a nice little app on my phone, which means by looking at the app I can tell how much power is going into my AGMs and how much power is coming out of my AGMs. But most importantly, I can see the state of charge of my AGM batteries. But here's where things get a little bit different and a little bit experimental. Although this is a solar charge controller, there are no solar panels connected to it. This actually draws its power from my power station via the 24 volt outlet, which means I'm not relying on solar panels to charge my AGMs. So theoretically, my 12 volt system should never really run down. All the time there's power in my power station, of course, and my power station is being charged by my alternator and the solar panels on my roof. But getting back to my solar charge controller, this has got a load circuit on it, so which means these two cables, the positive and negative, are actually connected to my 12 volt fuse supply. So everything 12 volts in my van is going to come through this and my 12 volt fuse panel there, which means I'm not relying on the solar generator for my 12 volts. This is purely going to be used to power all my 240 volts appliances in my van. Things like my induction cooktop, my air fryer, my coffee machine, all that paraphernalia. So in short, all my 12 volt supply is going to come from my AGMs. Anything 240 volt when I'm off grid is going to come from my power bank, which means I can use 240 volts off grid to my heart's content without worrying about running down my 12 volt batteries. And it's the 12 volts in my van that I really do rely on. After all, that's what I rely on for lights, for heating, etc., and ventilation. Basically it gives me redundancy, and I rather like the idea of that. I'm not relying solely on one system. I've got two separate systems, the best of both worlds, if you like. So there you go. I do hope that makes some kind of sense. I hope you found this video mildly entertaining, slightly informative. If you did, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching, and ta-ta for now. Right.